Hello allemaal, hello everybody. Welcome back to Mona Cottage Books. I'm Selby, and today we're going to go on a field trip. A book field trip in history. So a little while ago I finished this book, which is called Tulipomania, the story of the world's most coveted flower and the extraordinary passions it aroused. So if you don't know, in the 1630s in the Netherlands, people went crazy for tulips. They started bidding them up, and some of the very really sought after ones ended up costing the price of a house, and for one bulb. So it was kind of considered the first economic bubble where things had gone kind of crazy and the prices were way above what they should have been. So this book chronicles that, how it started, where tulips came from, because they aren't native to the Netherlands. So where they come from, how they got to the Netherlands, and how this kind of craziness kind of slowly built, and what the economic factors behind that were. So it was a really interesting book. I like history, and I like learning about the Netherlands, and I like flowers too. I love tulips. They're beautiful. So I thought this book was really interesting, and they do mention Haarlem quite a bit, because Haarlem, so the city I live in, is or was not the center, but an active part of this tulip mania. So I thought today we'd go around and we'd see some of the spots that author Mike Dash mentions in the book, and you can see what they look like now. Some of them look very similar to what they used to in the 1600s, and some look very different. So let's go check them out. So our first stop is the Amsterdamse Poort. This is the entrance into the city if you're coming from Amsterdam. So there used to be a road from Amsterdam to Haarlem, and this is the gate that you would go through. Haarlem at one point was completely walled, and all of the entrances had some form of gatehouse like this. This one is the one from Amsterdam. There's also one from, if you were coming from Leiden, and other ones from the north and in different directions. But this is the only one that's actually still up that you can see. And these big red doors would be closed at night. I think at a certain time at night, they would ring all the church bells to let you know that the gates were closing. So you either had to get in or out depending on what you wanted to do. But now this is the only one that's still standing, but you can go see it. It's in the Amsterdamse Poort neighborhood, obviously, and it's a pretty cool thing. And then you would start heading down the street, and this might be one of the streets that you walk down, this cute little canal street. And some of the houses here are still pretty old. I think this one that you're looking at with the nice shutters, that one looks pretty old. Now you can see that this has all been redone, but there would have been probably a bridge here at that point if you were going to trade tulips in Haarlem. And then this is the river Swertner. A lot of trade happened here. And in the distance, you can see the St. Bavo's church, which I think was started in the 1300s. Stop number 2 is the Kruys Poort, which is another port, another entrance into the city. This one is on the north side. This one is referenced in Tulipomania because just outside of the port, so to the right in this image, was what was referred to as a red building that was a brothel and was very popular with florists who were trading in tulips. And we don't know which side it is, and it's obviously not these buildings anymore because they are much newer than the 1600s, but this is the location. Next up, we're going to go to the Grote Markt. This is the market square, and you can see this is St. Bavo's church. This is drawing from the 1700s, but it still looks pretty much the same today. I think they started building the church in the 1300s, so it's a pretty old church. And then also in the Grote Markt is the Stadhuis, or the city hall. And so if you were coming to Haarlem in the 1630s to trade tulip bulbs, you probably would have come to this Grote Markt, to the center market area. You would have seen that church, and you would have seen the Stadhuis, because this, which is right behind me. So the Stadhuis is, you can see, I'll zoom in, it's built in 1630. So when the tulip mania was happening in 1636 and 1637, it would have been there and you would have seen it. And then if you were trading tulip bulbs, you might have walked down this cute little alleyway to the side here and seen some of these buildings. Now we're heading to the Gulde Druyf. I can't pronounce it very well, but it means golden grape, and it is a tavern. So this building on the corner might have been there during this time. I don't know the exact date for that one, but we're going to look at this one that has the awning, and I'm pretty sure this one next to it was there because that one looks pretty old too. But this one with the awning is the Golden Grape. This is referenced in the book as a place where florists would go and buy and sell tulips. And it looks pretty much the same. And I got some photos coming up. Here we go, some interior shots. These are from the 1920s, but they kind of give you a reference of what it would look like inside. Probably very similar. So now we are going to take a short bike ride down to the southern edge of Haarlem in the 1630s, where the Kleine Hout Poort used to be. Kleine means small and Hout means woods. So there was this small wooded area to the south of the main city, and that would have been where they would get firewood and things like that, but it's also where they had small garden plots, and a lot of people started growing tulips during the tulip mania. So this street is going south away from the Kleine Hout Poort, and this would have been all wooded or little garden areas, probably with tulips in the spring. And you can see today they've kept some of the Hout. This is the Haarlemerhout, the woods that they have kept, and is a big park. You can come down, bike down here and have a nice picnic. And then over on the left, there is a house or a hofja, which is like a retired person's house that they actually built in 1651. But the architecture style is very, very similar to what they were building in the 1630s. So you would have seen a lot of buildings like this during the time that this book takes place. And then just a little ways down is this estate. So there's two brothers. They were, I think, linen merchants or something like that, but they dabbled in tulips and they made one of these really sought after types of tulips. And this is the entrance to their estate. And I think the estate is actually still there, but you can't go in because I think it's a retirement home now. But that's where it was. And you can see in the image what it used to look like, very fancy. And then right across the street in the Haarlemerhout in the woods is this little tea shop that we have now. Probably didn't have that back then. But they may have had the deer. So there's deer in this park now, and they probably had deer back then. So that's cool. Okay, so that was our little adventure around Haarlem. We went to the Amsterdamse Poort. We went to the Kruys Poort, or the Kruys Poort. We went to the Grote and saw the St. Bavo's Church and the Stadhuis and the Gulde Druyf. Then we wandered down to the Hout Poort and saw where they used to grow the tulips and where the Haarlemerhout, the woods, used to be, and which is now a park. So those were all mentioned in the book, and you can still see them today if you come and visit beautiful Haarlem. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe so I can do more videos like this for you.